Okay, Julie, long-awaited videos that I've promised you are on their way. We're going to first start by recording a few different things. I'll probably break this up into 5 different recordings just to kind of give you some bite-sized nuggets, but it's going to cover everything from the basics of logging into the backside of your website all the way through making changes and edits. This first video here, we're just going to run through your website, showing you how to log in to the backside and kind of introducing you to a little bit of it. But this is your website, the website that you know and love, and long ago I had you sign up and, register on your own website for a username and password, and hopefully you still remember that. If not, let me know and I can go ahead and do the process to reissue you some of that. But first things first, what you need to do is to go to braveheartcounseling.net/WP-admin. That stands for WordPress-admin. This is the link that you need to remember that will get you into almost everything you need. Oh, and excuse me, if you can't remember your password, you can just get it here. Right here, but if you can't remember your username, then let me know. But it's as simple as WP-admin. Once you do that, it's going to put all the fancy junk behind it that you need to get you to the right spot. But from here, I've disabled my dash lane, but we're going to do... You shouldn't see that pop up. I have password manager on mine because I got 14 billion passwords. All you gotta do, username and password, click login. Now, just a heads up, sometimes if it's been a very long time since you've logged in or you've never logged in, you're gonna sit there and it's gonna look like it's logging in and nothing's gonna happen. That happens every once in a while. If that happens, just go and hit refresh, and typically it'll take you back to the login screen and you just log in again and it gets you there. It happens every once in a while, but I just want to give you a heads up. But once you do get logged in, this is going to take you to a dashboard, and you're going to see a few things here. Most of this stuff you really do not need to worry about, but this is just a quick snapshot of some of the things going on your website. What we can see from here is a few different things. Number one, you've got a bunch of comments that have come through in the last month that you're going to need to take a look at. Number two, you've got some updates over here that we need to take a look at. We know for sure one of those updates is a plugin, and there's 2 more, and I'm going to guess they're probably theme plugins. During the month, there's a handful of things that you're going to want to do. You're going to want to log in. You're going to want to take care of all of these comments. Number 2, you're going to want to run updates. Number 3, you might make some changes, stuff like that. But those are the big ones. But first step, getting you logged in, here's what you see. Now let me walk you through what you have here. Left-hand side, you have a running list of updates. If you click on this, this number will increase or decrease, obviously, with the number of updates you have. And this page here, under Dashboard and Updates, kind of rolls up into one page, all of the updates that you need to do. The way I have your website set up is that it's built on WordPress. That is your main software. On top of that, there is a piece of software called Divi. Divi we use as a framework. Now, if you notice right here, activate, this is not live. Divi is not live. We use Divi as a framework in the background, and we have a custom, what's called child theme set up. So your actual theme is a custom one to get your website to look like it needs to look. Basically what that means is in order for your website to work, you have to have this child theme activated. You have to have Divi on your website as well. You'll notice it does need an update, and we'll go through that in a later video. Now, you do have other options of themes. These are just very, very basic themes that are built into WordPress on their own. If you click and try to activate one of these, it's going to look really funky on your website. I'm just going to tell you that right now because we did a lot of coding on your website. fact, we can do a live preview. Don't remember if live preview actually works. Yeah, that is what your website would look like, all of this coding, if we decided to switch to one of the built-in ones. So needless to say, we don't want to do that. So go ahead and get rid of that. All of the Divi and the Divi child theme that I've created for you exists under this theme structure. But going back up here to updates, if your WordPress, which is the main software, ever needs updated, it'll appear in here as well. We'll run through the process of doing updates and what that looks like, but just know that it would say it up here. I do want you to know that if it is what's called a security and maintenance update, I do have your website set up to automatically do security and maintenance updates. It does not do every update that WordPress does automatically, because I want you to be able to do backups before that happens. Also, what you see here is plugins on this update on this update page that need update. You have a handful of plugins that help the functionality of your website. And again, these were the themes. So all of this gets rolled into this one update page. On here on the left-hand side, we're going to skip posts and media for now, but we're going to go to pages. Now, pages are literally the active pages we have built for your website. One is a draft over here that was, I believe, a kind of a placeholder page while we were building everything else. You notice it's now in draft mode. It's not published, so nobody can get to it but you. And also I had one for the contact us page as I was working some things out. But what you see here, excuse me, what you see here is every page that exists on your website. Let's go to it. That's every page that exists on your website falls under here. You can, and we'll get to this later, you can from here edit your pages. And it's going to pop up in here in a second and look way more complicated than it is, I promise. But I want you to at least know that's where your pages are. And if you ever hired someone to create more pages, they'd come in here to do that. Or if you were feeling really creative and wanted to come in and try your hand at it yourself, you could do that here with the Add New button. Up here, though, now we're going to go back to the Posts page. Right now you have one post. This is the generic post that is built into every WordPress site when it gets launched. It's under my name because I built this WordPress, but what it is if you were to blog, this is where you would start blogging from. If you were to ever add one of those, which is easy, doable, you would actually do your blogging from here. You notice it's basically a Word type setup to where you've got built-in, bold capabilities. You can make things bigger, smaller, all those kinds of things, indents, alignments, all of that. This is where you do your blogging from. You could insert pictures, media, all of that. It would list all of your posts. It would list all your posts here. You could organize them, categorize them, do all those different things to create a blog under the post page. Media is literally just like you'd assume. It's the media that exists on your page right now. All the things we've uploaded, all the things that have been compressed or changed size. Any picture that exists on your website should appear in here. Some of them look like there's nothing here, like this calligraphy one, but that's because it's so light it's almost impossible to see on here, but it does exist. You've got 2 pages of media right now. Anything you add, it'll appear here so you can find it later. Pages we went through. Comments. All right. This is a fun one. Comments. Because this is set up on WordPress, you have it has a blogging feature with it, which includes the ability to post comments. I have all of the comments turned off on your pages, so nobody can leave any comments here on your pages. And since you don't technically have a blog right now, 100% of these are spam comments. Somebody has found that one Hello World default built-in post. It's a bot. It's scanning the internet for these posts. It has found it, and it's programmed to put random comments on that, simply because they are looking for link backs and different things that they are hoping to do using your website. Comments right now, 100% are going to be spam. And so what we need to do is go through later and mark all of these as spam. Now, when you do start blogging, if you do start blogging, you're going to want to scan these for real comments, because you don't want to spam those. But all of this has actually been going on for a while. Some of these should have been marked in the past, but haven't. But you can definitely see these are definite spam posts or spam comments. We'll go ahead and spam those in a minute. You have a section called projects. You're going to have nothing under this, and there's not really a use for projects under your current setup in some WordPress sites, because WordPress handles more than just blogging now. They have what are called projects for instance, a website designer or a construction company. They literally can set up projects under here. It flows a little bit different from a blog, but it is essentially the same thing. It's a subcategory of blogging that allows you to highlight a project that your business or your website has done. No real use for them for you right now that I know of. So it exists, should be nothing under it. Don't have to worry about it. Appearance. Again, this is where your themes come into place. If you ever switch, which I showed you earlier, causes issues, Divi and this FWDG, Frisco Web Design Guru child theme, these are the two that you have to keep on your website. Never delete these, or it causes major issues. So don't worry about that. There's a few other things that you need to know under appearance. Widgets, right now you don't really need to worry about that, but you do have the ability to add little things if you ever wanted to the bottom here under these three that I've already set up. I don't use a lot of widgets in website design because anytime WordPress updates, it tends to create issues, and widgets have been known to break too many websites. So I typically ignore the use of widgets, which is why there's nothing in any of these footer areas. When you do a blog though, there is a sidebar in every blog, and it allows you to add a few different things that will appear next to every blog post. This is kind of the default ones. I just kind of leave those there, so you really don't have to worry about. Menus, on the other hand, this is one that you're going to want to know. This is how your menu structure is literally set up here in your website. It's pretty much drag and drop. We go literally to all pages, and we can insert them here, which is literally what I did. You have the ability to open them up and rename them if you wanted to, remove them. You can literally change the order just by dragging and dropping and clicking save. We're not going to do that. You can create sub-menus, so if you ever wanted to like put your services under about, whenever you indent it under an item, it becomes a sub-item. So literally, if you were to save it right now, and then we hit refresh, notice service disappeared from the menu, but look, it's a sub-item. So that's real easy how you can do that, but we don't want to do that right now. Your website works on one menu. There is the ability to set up multiple menu structures and to manage the locations and where those appear. I'm telling you, that's just too funky. 99.99% of websites only need one menu structure. If you ever needed to add things like a blog, this is where you would do that. You'd be able to literally put a blog link in here. You'd want to create a blog page, and then you'd come in here and create a blog link, and you would just drag it over or click add to menu like that. See? And it would appear there, but you don't need to do that right now. So, and that's all there is to menus. Backgrounds you don't need to worry about. If ever you come in and see this, you do not need to be in this. This has a lot of editing options. It is not fun to do, and I promise you it's going to cause nothing but heartache. So we want to, and sometimes it does that. So you want to exit out of that. If you ever get that, WP-admin, which is why we pretty much stay out of background and theme editor. It will eventually load. I was just trying to go too fast. It will eventually load. There's too many little things to mess with in there to really walk you through, and unless you really know what you're doing, I would avoid that at all costs. Plugins. Plugins are all the different plugins, which plugins are little pieces of software that expand the capabilities of your website in some way or change the capabilities of your website in some way. What you have here is a very limited number. I don't like to go crazy with these, and some of them are deactivated right now. The blue ones are activated. The white ones are deactivated. So literally you only have 4, and this one is superfluous at this point. We can deactivate and get rid of that. The only reason I have it activated right now is because I will show you how to run the updates with that later. If we ever needed to add a plugin, you could come here. This is a database of millions of plugins that could extend the usability of your website in some way. I would be very careful with these. The more plugins you have, the slower your website will run. Number 2, the more plugins you have, the more updates you need to run. And number 3, most importantly, the more plugins you have, the more vulnerable your website's going to be to crashing and hackers. I keep it small as possible. Just email me if you ever got a question about one because you need to add something. I'll be happy to help you out, so just let me know. But that's plugins. Users. This is a list of users who are registered for your website. Right now it's just me and you. Just me and you. Once I'm done with these videos, you could delete me from being a user and never having the ability to access your website again. I would highly recommend that you leave me on here for a lot of reasons. If something goes wrong with your website, it gives me quick and easy access. If something did hack your website using your administrative password, for whatever reason, that would give me a backdoor into seeing if I can come in and fix and salvage it. That kind of deal. Also, if you ever add another administrator in here, like for instance another website designer, and they come in and they monkey around with your website and screw it up and you need help fixing it, this gives me access to it real quick and easy, that kind of deal. So again, you're welcome to delete me if you want, if you feel more comfortable with that. I mean, it's simple as you coming in here, check mark me, come up to bulk actions, hit delete and apply, and I'm gone. But if you want to leave me there for security's sake, you are welcome to do that as well. You can add new people here, kind of just give them access to it as opposed to allowing them to register. You can play around with this, but this simply means when I log in, what does it look like, and my name and all that. Yours will appear for you as well. Tools. There are little tools built in to WordPress. Most of these you don't need at all. You don't have to worry about. So you can ignore almost all of this. There's nothing in here you need to really worry about. Settings. So we're gonna change. Ooh, didn't realize that still had mine. So here are the biggest overall broadest settings for your website that exist. Like for instance, the URL of your website, the site title of your website. Right now we have it disabled so nobody can register. If you ever decide to start a blog, you're going to want to turn that on and let them register as subscribers if they want. Time zone, all of that is under here. Reading and writing. We are going to change this to, how are you emailing me? Well, all right. Administrative emails now will go to you. All right, save changes. So what I just did is I changed the administrator email to your email address. It should be emailing either you or me. I think me, since I was listed as the last administrator. on if I want to allow that change. And once I do, any emails that this website generates that you need to know about, they're going to go to you, which would be administrative emails like, hey, there's an update. Hey, come check this out. I don't get a ton. I mean, a handful of them, but you should start getting them. If you got that email as opposed to me, go ahead and confirm it. I'm guessing it is sending it to you since I don't have it, or it went to spam. See if it went to my spam by chance. Nope. So if you get that email, go ahead and confirm it, and it'll switch the email addresses automatically. Writing. So there's not a lot. There's really nothing that you need to worry about in here. But once you do start blogging, there is a way to email. Use your email editor, and for instance, your Gmail account, and email a specific email address, and it would post a blog for you. I really don't recommend doing that. It's semi-secure, but it just doesn't always work right. So I would just ignore that, but it is possible. Reading. This kind of just sets up your website so that it's showing the homepage that we decide first. Once you set up a blog, you do your blog posts page. You tell it right here what that looks like. Which with Divi, which is what we're using, that's kind of unnecessary, but you could do that as well. We have search engines finding your website right now. If for some reason you didn't want them, which I don't know what that would be, if you ever didn't want search engines to list your website, like for instance in Google, you would click this and click save, but no, you want that, so pretty much leave that. There's really not much. You can check under here different things. There's really not a ton that you need to worry about. If you do come in and start blogging, you might change what's called your permalink structure because you're going to want the post name in there. So let's just go ahead and do that. So whatever you title any of your posts, it'll pop in right here as opposed to a date. Keeps it shorter. There's really nothing else. Right now you don't have a privacy policy page, but if you ever did start collecting, for instance, email addresses for advertisement or a newsletter or anything like that, you'd actually technically need a privacy policy page. So you'd have to select it in here so that it knows. Last two things you got duplicator, which is how we're going to do backups. I'm going to run you through that in the later video. And Divi. Again, this is your Divi, this is your framework. Not a lot in here really for you to mess with. In fact, I wouldn't mess with anything in here. But it does have a listing over on the left-hand side of your website in case you need to make some big overall changes. A lot of website designers use Divi, so they'll know what they need to do from there. But this has been an introduction to your website. Not a short one, sorry. Was planning on making it shorter, but a website intro nonetheless. From here, I will do a few more videos on what you actually need to do to make changes to your website and how to handle, for instance, backups, updates, changes on your website, and how to deal with these comments. So, be looking forward to the next few videos.